Councilmember Sanchez. Can we do a sound check?
Testing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please find seats. At this time, folks, let's clear the floor. Any staffers, please take a seat. Thank you. All non-staff, you can join us upstairs in the balcony. We need all electronic devices to be silenced now. Thank you so much for your cooperation. NYC Media, are you ready? Thank you. Madam Majority Leader, we're good to go.
Good afternoon and welcome to the stated meeting of May 1st, 2025. I am Majority Leader Amanda Farias, and I'd like to thank you for joining us. If you would like to follow along, the agenda for today's meeting is posted on our website. On behalf of the body, I welcome the members of the public who have joined us today. During stated meetings, only members of the council may speak. Members of the public shall remain silent. If you wish to express your support of any remarks, you may make the silent approval gesture. I want to remind my colleagues that decorum is to be respected at all times. Insulting each other is not appropriate. All remarks are to be addressed to the chair, and members shall not speak unless recognized by the chair. It is essential that even if we disagree, we treat each other with respect.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll call.
Abreu.
Present.
Aviles.
Presente.
Ayala.
Here.
Banks.
Present.
Botcher.
Present.
Brannan.
I'm here.
Brewer. Brooks Powers.
Present.
Caban.
Present.
Carr. De La Rosa.
Here.
Dinowitz.
Here.
Felder.
All right, I abstain.
Thank you. Felice. Gennaro. Gutierrez.
Presente.
Hanif.
Here.
Hanks.
Present.
Holden.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Joseph. Krishnan.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Marmorato.
Present.
Marte.
Present.
Mealy. Menon.
Here.
Moya. Narcisse.
Present.
Nurse.
Present.
Osei.
Present.
Palladino. Powers. Wrestler. Riley. Rivera.
Here.
Salam.
Present.
Salamanca.
Present.
Sanchez.
Present.
Shulman.
Here.
Stevens. Ung.
Present.
Vernikoff. Williams. 1.
Present.
Zhuang.
Here.
Ariola.
Present.
Farias.
Present.
Speaker Adams.
Present.
Thank you. We will now have today's invocation, which will be delivered by Reverend Kim Council, Assistant Pastor of Greater Mount Pleasant Baptist Church at 877 St. Mark's Avenue in Brooklyn.
Let us pray. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast and our eternal home. We thank you for the many ways in which you have blessed us, and we thank you for preserving our lives and allowing us to be in this space today. We have gathered from every neighborhood across this city in the most splendid place that we call home, a place full of diversity and wonder, full of hope and dreams, where the challenges are great, but the possibilities are endless. Today we are grateful for the mosaic of cultures that blend together to create a tapestry like no other in the world, like no other place in the world. Grateful for leaders like our speaker and every city council member and their staff who bring their lived experience to their styles of leadership, who are not afraid to speak truth to power and stand up to the nation, the state, and lead our city with both grit and grace. We're grateful for every man, woman, boy, and girl, and non-binary being who by birth or by choice have made New York City their own. We are ever mindful that every day there are systems at work that seek to undermine this beautiful city, that there are people who seek to divide and conquer, that our problems often seem insurmountable, and that there are times when we feel the only way to be heard is to be the loudest person in the room and rage against the machine. Times when we feel disconnected and helpless, and as we look out over this world that you have created, it is often hard to reconcile man's inhumanity to man. In those times, let us remember that we are not alone, that you are with us, and that just as it is darkest just before dawn, that there is hope even when we feel hopeless. Strengthen and guide us in the days to come and help us to build bridges and repair relationships. Help us to understand that our true strength is revealed when we show love and compassion for one another. Help us all to understand that justice and peace go hand in hand. And so today, as we sit here focused on all the great work that has been done and the plans that lay ahead, let us continue in a spirit of gratitude for each and every individual under the sound of my voice. For those in elective office who carry the burden of leadership, let them never forget the reason that they are in the positions that they hold. For every individual here, I know that you are a God that provides. So whatever people stand in need of, I ask that you grant. I lift up a mother and a grandmother named Adrian, who has for years fought for the least of these. Continue to lead and guide her as she seeks to lead this council and this city city. Thank you for leaders who are not focused on what is popular or politic, but what is right. I ask that you give us all the courage to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with you. It is in the name of the Almighty God that I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Counsel. I would now ask Councilmember Chi Osei to spread the invocation on the record.
I want to thank Deputy Brooklyn Borough President Reverend Kim Counsel for this powerful and affirming invocation today. Deputy Borough President Counsel truly represents our borough's best of the best. She has played many roles and put on many hats throughout her life: law librarian, a former executive nonprofit leader, and board chair, Reverend at Greater Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in North Crown Heights, and now Deputy Borough President for the Great Borough of Brooklyn. And in every role she has been in, Deputy Borough President Counsel has centered public service and community first. We thank her for her years of work and commitment to the public and are honored to have her with us here today at this stated meeting. Thank you, Majority Leader. I would like to thank Deputy Brooklyn Borough President Reverend Kim Counsel for being here today, and I make a motion for unanimous consent to spread the invocation in full upon the record.
Adoption of minutes.
None.
Messages and papers from the mayor.
Preconsidered M122 through preconsidered M127, mayoral appointments.
Rules, privileges, and elections.
Communication from city, county, and borough offices.
None.
Petitions and communications.
None.
Land use call-ups.
None.
Thank you. We will now have communication from Speaker Adrian Adams.
Thank you, and I too thank our Deputy Borough President, Reverend Kim Counsel. Thank you so much for those beautiful words. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge a fatal fire that occurred Monday in Councilmember Althea Stevens' district in the Bronx, where 2 New Yorkers' lives were lost. My heart is with their loved ones and community as they grieve these tragic losses. Yesterday was Denim Day, a day committed to supporting survivors of sexual violence. As a council, we are committed to supporting survivors with the trauma-informed care and recovery services they need. Today, colleagues, is May Day, also known as International Labor Day, in honor of the workers whose labor makes all things possible. We will continue to support our workers and union partners in the movement. Today is also Israel's Independence Day. And May 5th is Cinco de Mayo. May 6th is National Nurses Day. We are so grateful to our essential frontline healthcare workers who help keep our communities healthy and safe every day. May 6th is also National Teachers Day, observed on the first Tuesday of May. On this day, we pay tribute to our teachers who keep our students educated, safe, and healthy. Thank you to all of the dedicated and hardworking teachers who are our unsung heroes. And today is also National Principals Day, which we say thank you so much in gratitude to all of our principals. May 11th is one of my personal favorite holidays. Can anybody guess what it is? I'll tell you, it's Mother's Day. Okay, good. As a women majority council made up of new mothers, mothers-to-be, and mother figures, this holiday is especially meaningful to all of us. To all of the mothers in this room and those who are in the entire city of New York, who are the heart and soul of our families and communities, I truly wish you all and all New Yorkers a very, very happy Mother's Day. And throughout the month of May, we're celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, Haitian Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month, Lupus Awareness Month, and Maternal Mental Health Month. And we wish a happy birthday to Council Member Jim Gennaro, whose birthday is on May 3rd, and Council Member Eric Botcher, whose birthday is on the 9th. Happy birthday. Now let's move on to our stated agenda. First, we'll vote on the following land use items. 102-51 Queens Boulevard rezoning, a private application to facilitate a new 17-story mixed-use building with approximately 216 residential units, 54 of which will be permanently affordable under MIH in Councilmember Schulman's district. Today, we'll also vote on the following pieces of legislation. Resolution 822A, sponsored by Councilmember Lynn Schulman, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign S.705A.2140, which would cap the amount people pay for non-complicated routine medical procedures at 150% of the cost paid by Medicare for those same services. Resolution 165B, sponsored by Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign S.5545A.885, the Equity and Fertility Treatment Act. Thank you to our staff members Joshua Newman, Christopher Pepe, and Sarah Sucher. Resolution 741, sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, would designate May 10th annually as Judith Jamison Day in the city of New York to honor the life of Judith Jamison as legacy as a dancer, choreographer, and longtime artistic director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Resolution 844, sponsored by Councilmember Susan Zhuang, would recognize May 10th annually as Chinese American Railroad Workers Memorial Day in New York City. Thank you to our staff member, Regina Paul. Introduction 193A, sponsored by Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez, would require all taxis and for-hire vehicles to prominently display a sign on all rear passenger doors, warning passengers to look for cyclists before opening the door. The signs would be provided to drivers at no cost by the Taxi and Limousine Commission. Thank you to our staff members, Claire McLaughlin and Mark Chen. Introduction 23A, sponsored by Majority Whip Sylvina Brooks Powers, would require that the City Comptroller publish an annual report that indicates the total share of city procurement contracts that were awarded to MWBEs for the most recent fiscal year. The report would include information regarding the contract value, awarding agency, and demographics of the MWBEs. We thank our staff members Chris Satori, Alex Yablon, and Rachel Cordero. Introduction 1125A, sponsored by Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, would require the Department of Education to report annually the number of licensed and non-licensed school librarians at each school, the number of school libraries, and other data related to student access to library staff and facilities, including compliance with state staffing requirements. Thank you to our staff member Nadia Jean-Francois. Next, we will vote on legislation to preserve the limits on fees delivery caps can charge restaurants. The Council enacted legislation to cap these fees and provide critical relief to small businesses. In the wake of lawsuits by delivery app companies, New York City has remained one of the last of the more than 100 cities to keep this policy intact. Today's legislation maintains the cap on these fees while permitting additional services to be purchased. Introduction 762B, sponsored by Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, maintains limits on the fees that third-party delivery services can charge restaurants while allowing apps to provide optional enhanced services such as marketing for an additional fee of 20%. It would only permit charging an enhanced service fee, however, if the delivery service also offers the option to purchase a basic service plan at a cost no higher than the current fee limits. That includes delivery services and being listed and discoverable on the third-party platform. The bill also establishes strong protections for those who do not opt in by clearly defining the basic services that must remain subject to capped rates. Thank you to our staff members Sarah Swain, Natalie Meltzer, and Rachel Cordero. And Introduction 1185A, sponsored by Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan, would require the Department of Parks and Recreation to develop a strategic plan to mitigate the occurrences of wildfires in parks by March 1st, 2026. This bill would also require DPR to report annually on wildfires that occur in parks under its jurisdiction. Thank you to our staff members Chris Satori and Patrick Mulvihill. Thank you for your attention. Now I turn it back over to our Majority Leader.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. We will now move into discussion of general orders, and I'd like to first recognize Councilmember Schulman, followed by Krishnan, then Majority Whip Brooks Powers.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Today I am voting to support the proposed development at 102-51 Queens Boulevard. My district needs more housing, specifically affordable housing, and this is what this development will provide. Of the 216 residential units, 54 will be permanently affordable. I am also proud of approving a project that will be using union labor in both the construction and operation of the building. I want to thank the applicant for working with me and the community on this project. I also want to thank the applicant for considering the community's request for supportive housing as part of the project. While this type of project does not meet the conditions required for supportive housing, the project will have apartments that are designed for people with disabilities, which is much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Recognizing Councilmember Krishnan.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful day today, but it's also a moment to reflect and remember that we're in the middle of a climate emergency. Last fall, there were 250 wildfires in just 2 weeks in our city's parks across the city, from Brooklyn to the Bronx to Queens. It sent a clear message that we have to do far more as a city to prepare and to protect our city from the worst effects of climate change and the lasting harm of wildfires. That's why I'm proud today that we are passing my legislation, Intro 1185A, requiring the Parks Department to work with city agencies to come up with a plan to prevent wildfires where possible, to protect our city from the worst impacts of them when they do occur, and to educate New Yorkers on all that we can do together to make sure we are protecting our city's trees and green spaces from wildfires. The bill would require the agencies to work together by March 1st and come up with a preparedness plan, a way to both prevent the wildfires, also require agencies to work together to increase response times when they do happen, more fire prevention training for city workers, better surveillance over fire-prone areas of parkland, and improve enforcement against activities in parks that contribute to fires occurring. The plan would have to be posted on the Parks Department website and be updated regularly with relevant data on any recent fires that occurred. I'd urge all my colleagues to vote in favor of this legislation. We are in the middle of a climate emergency that is getting worse every day, from here across the country to LA. We need to take decisive action and be prepared, and that's what this bill does. Thank you.
Recognizing Majority Whip Brooks Powers.
Thank you. Today, I'm calling on my colleagues to support my bill, Intro 23. This bill advances equity in public procurement by requiring the comptroller to publish an annual report detailing how much of the city's contract spending goes to minority and women-owned business enterprises. This report will include a breakdown by agency, industry, contract value, and the gender and ethnic identity of the awarded firms, providing a clear picture of how we are investing public dollars. MWBEs are the engine of economic mobility for our city. They create jobs, build wealth in our communities, and reflect the diversity of New York. We cannot forget or abandon them, no matter the fiscal climate or shifting political winds. MWBEs continue to face real barriers when competing for city contracts. By placing the responsibility for this reporting with the comptroller, we ensure the data is not only made public, but presented independently and comprehensively, creating a reliable tool for advocacy, oversight, and reform. This bill gives us the information we need to course correct, to demand better from our agencies, and to expand across access to opportunity for the diverse business owners who power our economy. I thank my co-sponsors for their partnership, and I urge all my colleagues to vote in support of this important legislation. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Salamanca.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Intro 762B is a long overdue compromise and is a major win for local restaurants and consumers, and is a result of extensive negotiations to ensure small independent restaurants' voices were heard and their needs met. Let's be clear, this compromise maintains a cap on delivery fees while providing the flexibility for marketing services, making it without exaggeration the strongest food delivery commission cap of its kind in the country with key safeguards in place. The enhanced safeguards in this bill ensures transparent prices for marketing services, clearly outlined so restaurants avoid surprises and can opt in or opt out as needed. Restaurants will also retain the ability to set their own menu prices, the ability to include marketing materials in everyday delivery, and delivery platforms are prohibited from purchasing a restaurant's name as a keyword for use in advertising. From the beginning, the focus of this legislation was to better enable small and independent restaurants to grow and support the unique characters of their neighborhood. This bill restores restaurants' fundamental ability to invest in marketing, expand their customer reach, and compete with big chains in this highly competitive market. It also provides restaurants with much more choices and autonomy to leverage delivery platforms in ways that work best for them, allowing them to tailor their services and change them as needed. This moves away from a one-size-fits-all approach. This bill also allows restaurants can now access vital marketing tools like an in-app promotion and target campaigns to reach new customers and increase their visibility tools they often lack the resources to implement on their own. This bill is a common sense compromise that will empower small businesses, bring more order to local restaurants, and create more earning opportunities for delivery workers, a win-win for all stakeholders in our delivery ecosystem. Thank you.
Seeing no one else signed up to speak. Report of special committees.
None.
Reports of standing committees.
Report of the Committee on Consumer and Worker Protection, Intro 762B, Food Delivery Services.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Contracts, Intro 23A, MWBE Procurement.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Education, Intro 1125A, Public School Libraries.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Land Use, LUs 267 and 268, 2510, Coney Island Avenue rezoning.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197 of the New York City Charter.
LU 269 and Reso 865, and LU 270 and Reso 866, 10251 Queens Boulevard.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Parks and Recreation, Intro 1185A, Wildfire Mitigation.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Rules, Privileges, and Elections, Preconsidered Reso 862, recommending the appointment of Helen Skipper, Board of Correction.
Coupled on general orders.
Preconsidered Reso 863, recommending the appointment of Dr. Robert Cohen, Board of Correction.
Coupled on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, Intro 193A, Rear Door Signage for Taxis.
Amended and coupled on general orders.
General Orders Calendar, Resolution appointing various persons, Commissioner of Deeds.
Coupled on general orders, I now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of the items coupled today on today's general orders calendar.
Abreu.
Aye.
Aviles.
Aye.
Ayala.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Botcher.
Aye.
Brannon. Aye. Brewer.
Yes.
Thank you. Brooks Powers.
I vote aye and congratulate my colleagues on their bill's passage today.
Caban.
Aye on all.
Drank too much. I didn't drive.
Carr.
I vote no on preconsidered resolutions 862 and 863, and aye on the rest.
Thank you. De La Rosa.
Aye.
Thank you. Dinowitz.
Aye and all.
Felder. Feliz.
Aye and all.
Gennaro. Gutierrez.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Hanif.
Aye.
Thank you. Hanks.
Aye.
Thank you. Holden.
Aye on all except Resos 862 and 863, which I vote no.
Hudson.
Aye on all.
Joseph. Krishnan.
Aye on all except for Intro 762B, for which I vote no.
Lee.
Aye on all.
Lewis.
Aye on all.
Mamarato.
I vote aye on all with the exception of Reso 862 and 863. I vote no.
Marte.
Aye on all.
Mealy.
Aye on all and no on Intro 762B.
Menon.
Aye on all.
Moya.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Aye on all.
Nurse.
I vote aye on all.
Osei.
I vote aye on all.
Palladino. Powers.
Aye on all with the exception of Intro 762B.
Wrestler. Riley.
Aye.
Rivera.
I vote aye.
Salam.
Vote aye.
Salamanca.
Aye on all and no on Reso 822.
Thank you. Sanchez.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Schulman.
Aye on all.
Stevens.
Aye on all.
Ung.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Vernikov.
Aye on all except no on Resos 862 and 863.
Williams.
I vote aye.
1.
Aye on all except Intro 762B.
Zhuang.
Aye on all except Reso 862, 863.
Ariola.
I vote no on Resos 862 and 863, and aye on all the rest.
Farias.
I vote aye on all.
Speaker Adams.
Aye on all.
All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 46 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of Introduction 762B, which was adopted by a vote of 42 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, and Resolutions 862 and 863, which were adopted by a vote of 40 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative, and 0 abstentions. We're just going to pause for 1 second in the stated agenda. Folks, we still have to maintain silence in the chambers, please. Okay, and we're back at it. We're moving to introduction and reading of bills.
All bills have been referred to the committee as indicated on today's agenda.
Thank you. We will now move into the discussion of resolutions, and I will like to first acknowledge and recognize Councilmember Shulman, followed by Zhuang, and then Narcisse.
Give me a second. Hold on one second, sorry. Okay. New Yorkers rely on basic routine health care like flu shots, MRIs, IV bags, and cancer treatment to stay healthy, but too often they're being charged outrageous prices simply because the hospital system owns the facility where they get care. That's not fair and it's not sustainable. The Fair Pricing Act would make New York the first state in the country to cap prices for routine outpatient services at 150% of Medicare rates, regardless of where the care is delivered. And that is why Reso 822 was introduced to support the legislation in the New York State Legislature that would do that. And this legislation could save New Yorkers over $1 billion a year, money that should go to rent, food, and other essentials, not excessive medical bills. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Zhuang.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Today is the first day of AAPI Heritage Month. By voting yes on my resolution 844, you, as representatives of people, are making sure we don't erase Asian American from Americans' history. Today, people talk about immigrants with fear, and sometimes hate. It's not new. The Chinese American railroad workers in American history had the same problems. These workers worked just for a few cents a day, and many died to build the Transcontinental Railroad. But the surviving workers were not allowed on the final picture. Leland Stanford made so much money off those workers. However, he endorsed the Chinese Exclusion Act, the first U.S. policy to restrict immigration based on race, not only just Chinese, to all Asians. This is a short version of forgotten history, and do you see why it's so important we remember? This is AAPM month. Let's make history and make May 10th Chinese American Railroad Workers Memorial Day. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Narcisse, followed by Salamanca.
Thank you, Majority, and thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, I'm asking for your support in passing Resolution 165, which calls on the New York Legislature to establish full insurance coverage for fertility treatments. Fertility challenges affect many individuals and couples across our city, yet the high costs and insurance exclusions create unjust barriers, particularly for marginalized communities. Should it base on how much money you have, your race, to have a baby, to fulfill your need being a family? It is time we guaranteed equitable access to these individual services for all New Yorkers. As chair of our hospital committee and a registered nurse, I believe regardless of your income, race, or sexual orientation, I urge you to stand with me in support of this resolution. It's all about family. And shout out to Haitian history, because Haitian independence, it was not only for Haiti, it was for everyone. So happy Flag Days, because the flag, we raise it high, we remember our independence, the freedoms, the things that we have done for the world. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Recognizing Councilmember Salamanca.
Thank you. I'm speaking out against Resolution 822, the Fair Pricing Act, which threatens the financial sustainability of healthcare systems, such as our New York City public hospitals, such as Lincoln Hospital, Jacobi Hospital, Woodhall, Metropolitan, and many other hospitals in New York City. You know, healthcare prices is not a one-size-fits-all. Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates fall short. The academic health systems provide high value and community-based care, which will be affected. And the Fair Pricing Act seeks to set a standard price for low-level care, but low-level care is not low-level care. And it also puts hospitals which carry a regulatory burden. And for that reason, the Fair Pricing Act may appear equitable on the surface, but it undermines the very institutions working to close healthcare gaps and expand access to healthcare. And that is why I will be voting no.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'm going to take a pause to answer a question. Okay, folks. We will now have a voice vote on today's resolutions. If you wish to vote against or abstain from any of today's resolutions, please notify the Legislative Documents Unit by email or by approaching the dais. I'll now read today's resolutions into the record. Resolution 165B calls on New York State to enact Senate Bill 5545 and Assembly Bill 885, the Equity and Fertility Treatment Act. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 741 designates May 10 annually as Judith Jamison Day in the City of New York to honor her life and legacy as a dancer, choreographer, and longtime artistic director of the groundbreaking Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 822A calls on the New York State to enact Senate Bill 705 and Assembly Bill 2140, which would cap the amount people pay for non-complicated routine medical procedures at 150% of the cost paid by Medicare for those same services. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Resolution 844 recognizes May 10 annually as Chinese American Railroad Workers Memorial Day in New York City. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Councilmember Ressler, do you have a motion?
Yes, would like to request unanimous consent to be able to vote on the items on today's general orders calendar.
The council member requests unanimous consent to vote on all items on today's calendar. Does anyone object to the council member's motion? Seeing no objections, it is Councilmember Ressler is approved to vote. If you can cast your vote on the floor.
Thank you all. That was very gracious. I apologize. Aye on all with the exception of 762B, and just want to thank everyone for their support of 1125 so that we can get a library in every school and a librarian in every library. Thank you very much.
One second as we retally so I can update the vote for the record. All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 47. I am restating the vote as we had a new addition. All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 47 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of Introduction 762B, which was adopted by a vote of 42 in the affirmative, 5 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, and Resolutions 862 and 863, which were adopted by a vote of 41 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative, and 0 abstentions. We will now move into general discussion, and I'd like to first recognize Minority Leader Arriola.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader, Madam Speaker. I'd like to first congratulate our colleague from the Common Sense Caucus, Susan Zhuang, for passing her first piece of legislation today. Congratulations, Susan. Additionally, today we are joined by Council Member-elect Frank Morano from the 51st Council District, which was vacated by my predecessor, Minority Leader Joseph Borelli. As soon as he is certified and sworn in, he'll be joining us here. Congratulations, Frank, and congratulations to the Staten Island GOP on their decisive win. Thank you.
Thank you, Minority Leader. I'd now like to recognize Council Member Lewis, followed by Banks, then Caban.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader, and good afternoon, colleagues. Today I'm introducing two pieces of legislation to protect the health and safety of women and girls in our city, especially those who are often overlooked and underserved. The first bill builds on this year's powerful joint hearing on youth and human trafficking chaired by Councilmember Althea Stevens in January. Intro 1273 will require all DYCD and ACS staff with direct youth contact to complete annual trauma-informed training to help identify and support sexually exploited youth, many of whom are Black and brown girls under the age of 24. Our foster, homeless, and LGBTQ+ youth are some of the most vulnerable in our care, and this bill ensures that those responsible for them are well trained to recognize and respond to signs of exploitation. My second Reso 861, calling on the state to pass the Beauty Justice Act. Far too long, many products marketed to Black women by big corporations, lotions, hair relaxers, cosmetics, and more contain toxic chemicals linked to cancer, infertility, and poor maternal outcomes. This social justice issue has long been a long overlooked public health crisis. New York must join other states in banning harmful substances in personal care products and affirm every woman's right to safe, non-toxic options. These bills will serve our youth and every woman in New York City trying to protect their health and well-being that's too often disregarded. I encourage my colleagues to sign on to these pieces of legislation. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Banks, followed by Caban, then Aviles.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. 2 days ago, I spoke with News 12 Brooklyn about the footbridge connecting the L and the 3 trains at the Livonia Juniors train stations, a connection for our community that has sadly become a symbol of neglect. My office and 311 have been flooded with calls from residents asking for something to be done, and they are absolutely correct. When you walk by and you see trash piling up, the smell, the stench, you watch rats roaming around like they own the place, it's unsettling. I've spoken with neighbors who say it's not just nasty, it's downright depressing. This is city-owned property, and it should have never been allowed to get this bad, and definitely shouldn't have been taken care of until this morning to start the cleanup. Our residents deserve better. The people of the 42nd Council District deserve better. I appreciate the DOT for stepping in, but I hope this isn't just a one-time fix. Many of my colleagues and I support containerization as a step towards a cleaner and safer city, but we can't ask our business and residents to follow a higher standard than the city is willing to meet itself. We need to lead by example. To everyone who called and spoke up, who refused to accept this as normal, we thank you. Your voices matter, and I'll keep raising it until this bridge reflects the dignity and respect that our community deserves. And lastly, a big shout out to my fellow Sarah Capis, who's returned to her alma mater as a development officer. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to the 42nd Council District. We wish you the very best, and thank you again.
Recognizing Councilmember Caban, followed by Aviles, then Riley.
Thank you. Today, I, along a number of colleagues, am introducing legislation to explicitly protect intersex individuals and individuals with intersex characteristics under New York City human rights law. For the at least 140,000 intersex New York City residents, this amendment will provide the safety, security, and dignity every person deserves. Intersex characteristics are far more common than many people realize, but intersex people often face discrimination in their daily lives in areas like healthcare, education, housing, and employment. At this time of open federal attacks on long-established rights, it is essential that we fortify protections against this discrimination here in New York City. While existing guidance from the Human Rights Commission offers some protection, it's not enough. Guidance can change. The law must be permanent. That is why we must amend the city's human rights law to protect intersex individuals and individuals with intersex characteristics. Codifying these protections in the law would continue the Council's long-standing tradition of strengthening Title VIII to reflect our values of equality, inclusion, and justice. In the face of growing threats to LGBTQIA+ rights nationwide, this amendment sends a clear message. New York City stands firmly on the side of fairness and human rights for all. I urge you to join me in supporting this crucial legislation. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Aviles, followed by Riley, then Carr.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I want to bring to your attention 2 important pieces of legislation I'm introducing today, along with Councilmember Caban. The first is Resolution 859, condemning the passage of the Lincoln-Riley Act. While we mourn the tragic loss of life of a young woman, framing her death as anything other than yet another example of violence against women in our culture is a grave mistake that undermines any public safety goal. For those of you who may not know, the Lincoln-Riley Act allows for undocumented immigrants to be detained based merely on suspicion, marking the elimination of due process. We have already seen the deleterious effects of this legislation in example after example within only a few short weeks. The Lincoln-Riley Act makes our communities less safe, allowing for rampant and extremely harmful racial profiling, puts immigrant victims of crime at risk, resulting in deportation for individuals who may participate in crimes through no choice of their own, leaving their exploiters unharmed, and leaves immigrant children and those born in the U.S. to immigrant parents incredibly vulnerable. I also want to bring to your attention Intro 1268, which will require the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs to develop signage to be posted at city agencies where direct or emergency services are delivered, notifying immigrants of their constitutional and legal protections. While our nonprofit providers are strapped, providing workshop after workshop, informing our immigrant communities of their rights, the city must come up with a way to more consistently deliver this message, not only to those impacted, but to each city agency across all levels of staffing. New York City must step up at this critical moment. We must restore trust between our local government and immigrant communities. I urge you all to stand with me in condemning the Lincoln-Riley Act and in standing together to protect our communities and ensure all are informed of their constitutional and legal protections in the face of rising authoritarianism. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Riley, followed by Carr, then Zhuang.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Managing a co-op comes with complex responsibilities, as everyday residents must navigate a web of housing laws, regulations, while working to serve their communities with care and fairness. As the representative of Co-op City, the largest cooperative housing development in the world, I understand how important it is for co-op board members to be well-informed and prepared to lead. That's why I'm proud to introduce Intro 1275, legislation that directs the Commissioner of HPD to create a comprehensive training program for co-op board members citywide. The training will cover key areas including housing laws in all levels of government, fiduciary duties to shareholders, anti-discrimination protection for prospective buyers, and best practices for managing a cooperative corporation. This knowledge is vital to empowering board members to lead with professionalism, transparency, and accountability. To support this effort, this bill also requires the Commissioner to conduct a citywide outreach campaign to raise awareness and to ensure boards know about and take advantage of training opportunities. This legislation is not just about regulatory compliance, it's also about strengthening the culture of cooperative housing and supporting the people who keep it running. When board members are equipped with the right knowledge, they make better decisions, foster stronger communities, and build greater trust amongst their residents. I urge my colleagues to sponsor this legislation and join me in uplifting our communities. Let's ensure cooperative housing remains a stable, inclusive, and empowering foundation for families across New York City. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Carr, followed by Zhuang.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I want to add my congratulations to our future colleague Frank Morano on his decisive victory in the special election on Tuesday to succeed our former colleague Joe Borelli. You know, Frank has a wealth of knowledge about government that rivals, I think, even the most seasoned and veteran members and public servants in this city. And I think colleagues will find in him somebody who wants to work with them to champion improving quality of life across the 5 boroughs. He's a person of incredible commitment to his principles. He's dedicated to the South Shore community he will soon be representing, and just a lover and passionate believer in municipal government and what it can do to improve our quality of life. And so I look forward to him joining us by the time of the next stated, and for all of my colleagues here to be getting to know him and working with him over the rest of the year. Thank you.
Recognizing Councilmember Zhuang.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I want to thank everyone who supported me and also voted yes on May 10th as the Chinese American Railroad Workers Memorial Day. I want to thank American Association of Cantonese helped me to start this resolution, and I want to thank UFT's support, MTA Chinese Association, which is under TW Local 100, and also CCBA, Museum of Chinese in America, and lots of Chinese American organizations. And also I want to thank Councilmember Bob Holden give me his bill, and I want to thank Regina Paul for draft this resolution, and also want to thank my team, especially Caitlin Ulrich. I really appreciate everyone's vote for Asian community. It's not only just for Chinese Americans, it's for all the Asian Americans. And this month is Asian Heritage Month, also Jewish Heritage Month. We need the unity in the community. We need to support each other. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. Seeing no one else signed up to speak, I'll now call on Speaker Adrian Adams to close today's stated meeting.
Thank you, Madam Majority Leader. The stated meeting of May 1st, 2025 is hereby adjourned.
Friendly reminder to the members of the body, BLAC is happening in the committee room.